Hey, you guys. Hello, hello. All right. For those of you who watch later, who watch the replay, I will go ahead and get started. Doesn't look like there's anyone on quite yet, but that is okay. We're going to go ahead and get into this federal employee buyout. Federal employee buyout, also known as deferred resignation. That kind of fancy term is just that. It's a somewhat fancy term. It essentially means the same thing. Let me break that down a bit. That refers to a delayed resignation. That's where the term deferred comes from. Deferred resignation. That is essentially saying that they are signing up. This is what is being offered. This is what is being proposed. They're signing up to resign actually later, to resign by September 30th. All right. So that's where the term deferred resignation comes from, even though they're being presented with this now in February. And now we are just a day ahead of the deadline of kind of D-Day for them to accept this offer or not. All right. So there's that. So I wanted to talk about this because there's so much information about this. And for those of you who may not know me, or if you're new to my channel, if you're new to me, um, welcome. Hello, hello. I am Rachel Thibodeau. I run a consultancy called Swag Strategy Solutions, where swag is not just cool, although it is cool. It is an acronym that stands for Strategic Women Achieve Growth, SWAG. We primarily work with women business owners, mostly service based, and service providers, thought leaders, what I call reluctant content creators, help them in growing and monetizing their brands, mostly by leveraging digital strategies, effective digital strategies that allow you to work smarter versus harder. All right. Um, and occasionally also talk about current events, hot topics, and often how that plays into what we're doing in terms of building and monetizing your brand, and growing what I tend to refer to as the three B's: your brand, your business, and your bottom line. So a lot is happening. A lot has happened this year in 2025. And obviously, we are not that far into the year. We are just into February. I sent an email out to my list just yesterday, and it was like, it is just February, right? Like it's just February. It's not March yet. It's not May. It's not June, because it kind of feels like 3 to 6 months has happened in really less than 60 days, because so much has happened and continues to happen. But that's where we are. So this particular development with the federal buyout, obviously this is going to, or potentially, let me say that this can potentially affect a lot of people. And I wanted to make this video for a few reasons. One, because obviously there are a lot of federal employees, and I think a lot of people don't realize how many federal employees there are. There's about 2 million federal employees. I mean, just think of everything that falls under federal the federal umbrella, so to speak. I mean, you got the IRS, you have the CIA, FEMA, you have Health and Human Services. I mean, there's a lot. Social Security. So there are a lot of federal agencies, a lot of federal employees, and this offer that's being made, the reasoning is, at least this is what is being reported. Y'all know we can't necessarily just believe everything that's being reported, but what is been reported is that the expectation is not for all federal employees to take this offer. Like they're not expecting all federal employees to leave. Although I find that interesting because even if, say, a third of employees take this offer, I mean, that's like what, about 700,000, between 650 and 700,000 people. Now, that's a large number. Obviously, that's a really large number. Um, but supposedly, they don't expect many people to take this buyout. They're expecting about 10%. I think that is the number. About 10% to take this, which that would be about 200,000 people. Still a big number. That's still a big number. Now, some, whether in the media, some lawmakers, pundits, gurus, et cetera, have said that it may not be a bad idea for the government to, kind of streamline, to trim the fat, so to speak. That, there probably are too many federal employees. There are people duplicating jobs, that whole thing. There may be some truth to that. I can see that. I don't know though if there are 200,000 extra people. Like I don't know if there's that much duplication of work. And the interesting thing, there's not, or doesn't seem to be, a clear plan, a clear path to taking advantage of this new efficiency, nor has it been revealed what this savings, because this is another major reason this is even happening, to save money, because obviously federal employees are not working for free. They have to be paid. And so they're looking to save all this money. I don't know where that money is supposed to go. Like, how is it supposed to be redirected? No one has said anything about that. That gets into like other stuff related, but not, specifically what I want to talk about here. But I'm just kind of giving you some context. So after hearing a lot about this, watching several videos, reading several articles, I mean, pretty much diving into this, I am of the belief that this is not necessarily an opportunity. I think not the actual title of this video, but on my thumbnail, um, it's asking essentially, is this an opportunity or crisis? And I don't know yet if it's a crisis. It could be. Could definitely, it could possibly be a crisis, but I'm not ready to go there yet. It may not be a crisis, but the question, kind of is it a crisis or an opportunity? It could be both. Could be both, because just think about the pandemic. The pandemic was kind of a crisis and an opportunity for a number of people. I mean, no doubt. Um, but I'm speaking directly to federal employees. If you have a loved one, if you know somebody who is a federal employee, then please share this video with them. I really question, along with a number of other people, I'm questioning whether this is really a good idea for federal employees to accept this offer. And at this point, at the time of this recording, this live stream, it is Wednesday, February 5th. Again, we're a day away from the deadline because they have until February 6th to accept this offer. Over 20,000 federal employees have accepted this. They've signed on the dotted line, or maybe they just resign to the email they received, because that's what they were asked to do. Now, y'all think about that. Even that in itself is very questionable. You can just make this major decision, basically leave your job, agree to resign 8 months from now, and supposedly still be paid for it by just responding with one word. I mean, does that sound, really legit to y'all? Um, but over 20,000 people have done that at this point. And that's kind of concerning. That is concerning. Now, from what I have heard, a number of people are not planning to take this. Like they're not even thinking seriously about taking this offer for reasons. And I would say valid reasons from what I understand. One reason certainly is they question the legality even of this offer, which is being questioned by a number of people, and not just any people. This is being questioned by unions. It's being questioned by law professors. It's being questioned by legislators. It we don't know definitively if this is even lawful. Okay, this type of offer that's being made, because it hasn't been done. Not like this. This hasn't been done before. And the way it's being done, and y'all just keep in mind that Elon Musk is all up and through this. This is pretty much him. That this is the same thing, or very similar to what he did when he took over Twitter, now X. All right, very similar. He sent this email, from what I understand, not a lot of information, sent this email to Twitter or ex employees at the time, um, kind of with a similar offer. And they had, not that long to make the decision. And the people who did and who agreed to resign and take the offer, some of them didn't get all their money. Like he either is being sued now, like that's still going on, or it may have already have been decided. And if it's been decided, if I'm not mistaken, and y'all can look this up, you can check for yourselves. I encourage you to check for yourselves. If it has been decided, then I think actually he got away with not paying them what they were supposed to be paid. So, and if y'all don't know, Trump has definitely gotten away with not paying people. Like that's a thing with both of them, to mess over employees, mess over their people, not pay them when they're supposed to pay them. So, of course, a number of federal employees know that and are very concerned about that and question whether they will make good on this offer. Because what is enticing to a number of people, and of course, what the Trump administration and what Elon is doting on and hoping for, is that people will be so enamored with getting paid for the next 8 months when they don't have to work. So, that's the thing. If they take this offer, they don't have to actually come to work, although technically they're still employees until September 30th. So they will be paid supposedly through September 30th, but not have to work all this time. So, of course, some people hear that, and that, I'm sure that sounds pretty good. I mean, especially if you make good money, if you have a federal job where, it's a six-figure job, or maybe it's close to six figures, maybe it's multiple six figures. I don't know. There's this perception that, government employees don't make good money, but that really depends on the agency and depends on what you do. And so you could be thinking to yourself, I mean, that's a sweet deal. That is a sweet deal. I don't have to go to work. For especially remote employees, they are demanding, they're not asking, they're demanding them to come back into the office 5 days a week, not a few days. They didn't say if you can come in for, you know, 3 days or 2 to 3 days a week. No, Monday through Friday, they want you back in the office. And keep in mind, some of these jobs were advertised as remote. Like that's how the job was presented. People took some of the jobs, some of these jobs with the understanding and the expectation that it's going to be a remote job. And now they're being told, no, you need to get your ass back here for 5 days. Okay, so there's that. So, you know, you can probably see, I can see, it's kind of someone on the outside looking in, how this offer may sound really good. You're going to pay me for 8 months. I don't have to come back into the office. I can chill, or I can look for another job in that time and still, still get paid. But this is the problem. Remember what I said about the very legality of this offer is being questioned. Right now, as I speak and as you watch this, lawsuits are stacking up. There are unions suing the administration about this. Um, Probably people. There are some individuals as well suing based on this whole offer, because again, they're questioning the validity, questioning, can y'all really even do this? So they are suing. And if it is determined, and of course, who knows what's going to end up happening with these suits and with the whole legal aspect of this. I mean, it could possibly even go up to the Supreme Court. Um, but even if it doesn't make it there, if this offer is found to be, in fact, illegal and basically should not have been done, these people who accepted the offer, they're kind of ass out. And think about that. That still achieves Trump's goal and Elon's goal, because the goal is just to get rid of a lot of people. The goal is just to get rid of a number of people from the government, and probably, if they don't have to pay them, especially through that whole period, well, that's a plus. They won't be, I'm sure they won't be mad at that. And along those lines, there is also a question, and really should be a real concern, that there is even money set aside to pay these people through September. Because, y'all, in case you didn't know, the government is only funded through March. And I don't even think the end of March. I think like March 14th or 15th, because y'all know every few months we've been running to this whole potential government shutdown because of funding. And, Congress has to come together and they have to work something out. And it's all this back and forth and, negotiation. And I don't want to do that. And I don't want to do this. And I will only do this if you do that. It's a bit of a shit show and has been for the last few years. And so you may recall that happened last year, kind of late last year. We were facing yet again a possible government shutdown. Now, the Democrats tend to want to avoid that. They tend to want to avoid that. And, let's not even go down that route because of what that could mean and what that could lead to. And I don't know. I am Gen X. I don't recall seeing or experiencing a government shutdown in my lifetime. If it's happened, I'm not aware of it happening. So I don't know if we ever really have had the government actually shut down. But Trump don't care about that. Elon Musk don't care about that. A number of people, there are people in MAGA, some of these ultra right wing conservatives, they don't mind a government shutdown. Like, they have been talking about that and kind of pushing that for a while. Late last year, when we were faced with that, Trump was like, let's shut down. I think Elon said the same thing. Shut it down. Because, y'all, keep in mind, it's not really going to affect them. I mean, but think about what the government, the whole government being shut down, what that would mean. I mean, Social Security checks would be affected, aid, Medicare, Medicaid, loans, federal loans, grants. I mean, like a lot of stuff. God forbid we have a national disaster at the same time the government is shut down, or maybe just before the government shuts down. No aid would be going out. No, because there would be no FEMA. The government would be shut down. And you'd like to think, if God forbid that happened, it wouldn't be for long. Maybe it'll just be for a week. Maybe but that's still a week. Maybe it would just be for a couple of days. But what if it's not? What if it's longer? What if it's 2 weeks? What if it's 2 months? A lot of people don't really even realize what that would look like. So it is questionable whether the government truly can honor what they're claiming they're going to do for these federal employees who are taking this buyout. It is questionable whether they really can pay them beyond March. And if you are a federal employee, I'm thinking, and even if you're married, even if you have a spouse or you have a significant other and they're working, um, your income probably still matters, especially in this economy, the way this economy is set up and the way inflation is set up, which inflation has been dropping, but inflation is still inflationing. It's still inflationary. Okay. So you're probably expecting, if you're a federal employee, you're probably planning or doting on this offer being honored. You're expecting to get paid through September, like they're saying. So just imagine if that's not the case. If that's not the case. Y'all, I am in Houston, or the Houston area, where, although it is early February, it's been 80 each day this week. So it is a little hot. I think I'm gonna have to, yeah, I'm gonna have to roll down the window for the duration of this video. So that is a question, whether there will even be money there to fund this buyout. And the other issue, which I think I may have touched on, but I want to reiterate, if a court, if a judge determines that this offer was unlawful to begin with, that it is not valid, well, then the contract the employees are signing to take the buyout, then more than likely, there could be an exception, but more than likely, well, the contract becomes unlawful. The contract becomes invalid, which means they don't have to honor it. See how this goes? But see how the result is the same. They've gotten rid of you because they're at least, more than likely, they're probably not going to turn around and hire you back. Now, I'm not saying that's impossible. I suppose that could happen, but it's not necessarily likely, because even if they were because remember, we're talking about and the government right now is pretty much the Trump administration and Republicans for the most part. Like, they have every branch of government. Y'all know how it's three branches of government. For those of you who may not remember this, and you need a refresher on U.S. government. You know how there's three branches of government. There's judicial, legislative, executive. All those branches are controlled by Republicans. Now, I'm not going to get into Republicans are terrible, Democrats are great. Democrats are terrible, Republicans are great. Because I'm not partisan like that. I am an independent. And I am more aligned with and more loyal to beliefs, beliefs and values versus a party. All right. But just the way things have been going, okay, um, the Republican Party does not look the same. Like this Republican Party has undoubtedly been infiltrated by MAGA and by ultra right wing conservatives. This is not the Republican Party of Lincoln. This is not the Republican Party of Bush. Either Bush, like Daddy Bush or W, neither. This is not the same Republican Party. So the likelihood of there being a lot of pushback for Trump in his administration, and even if there is some, even if, like I said, a court determines, this is illegal, you can't do this, and let's say the court does order them to hire these people back. Well, all they're probably going to do, the Trump administration, they're going to then push back. They're just going to appeal that. And appeals can tie matters up, tie the court up for I don't know how long, months, possibly even years. That's just how typically the appeal process works. In the meantime, you still have a job as a federal employee. All right. So please keep all of that in mind. Please keep in mind that although you may not want to come back into the office, it may be difficult for you to come back in the office. And if that's the case, I mean, I get that. You may just really have to do what you have to do. But if that's not the case, or if you haven't really been working remotely anyway, if you've been in the office anyway, I would probably not accept this buyout. Now, in the meantime, where the opportunity comes in is you are being shown, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to be in denial. And if you're in denial, sis, bro, it's time to get out of denial. You're being shown how much you're valued. You're being shown how much you are appreciated. You're being shown how much, or depending on how you look at it, how little power you have. So I just tend to think if someone is trying to take away my power or show me that I don't have much power, then I need to reclaim my power. So if you do not take this buyout, and even more so if you do, if you are an employee who has accepted this buyout or you plan to accept this buyout, you don't need to look at this as a long vacation or a long break. Now, you might need to take a mini break, to get yourself together, get in the right mind space, because I'm sure that this has probably been stressful. So, yeah, take a few days, maybe a week to chill out. But even in that time, you need to be coming up with a plan. You need to be coming up with a plan if you don't already have a plan for your next job and or your first or your next business, and possibly both. Okay? That's the times that we are in, because often one job is not enough. A lot of people, I was talking about this with a girlfriend earlier at lunch, and we're both in business for ourselves, but we both came from corporate. We both have had, the job, the 9 to 5. So we can look at this and approach this really from both of those perspectives. But we were just talking about how so many people now have side hustles, and some of whom have quote unquote good jobs. Like it's not just people with low paying jobs or, people who are struggling. A number of people with 6-figure jobs still have side hustles. Because in some cases, especially if it's lower six, like if it's right at the six-figure mark, and depending on where you live, that's not enough. Like six figures is not what it used to be. Okay. And I'm in Texas. Um, our cost of living is not quite as high as, like the Northeast, as Southern California, as Miami, but it's getting there. Like it's Houston, like most big cities, it's not exactly cheap though to live here. It may not be New York cost of living. It may not be Miami cost of living, Boston cost of living, but it's it's up there. Okay. So your even seemingly secure job, I mean, this is for really any and everybody. Even if you think your job is secure, you shouldn't think it's secure. Like you shouldn't dote on it being secure. But even more so, as a federal employee at this time, if you had a side hustle, this is the time for you to go all in on your side hustle. And even if you don't take the buyout and you keep your 9 to 5 job, and you've been kind of lackadaisical about your side hustle, and kind of doing it when you feel like it, and because you have that job and you have felt comfortable, with your job, and thinking, my job ain't going nowhere, and I got a good paycheck coming in. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to shift, pivot, and I need you to go all in on the side hustle, and or go all in on finding you another job, and preferably not another federal job, because things have changed. If you haven't noticed, things have changed. Like, no doubt. The things that are happening now, so many things are unprecedented, and that is in various ways. Like, unprecedented things are happening, from politics to business to weather. Like, we have been having crazy weather, and I mean that's been happening for some time. But all kinds of unprecedented, unexpected things have happened. And I don't really see that changing in this day and age, and where we are now, where we are politically, where we are economically. So if you are someone who wants to explore further, because maybe this is not new to you. If you want to explore further, what you can do, particularly online, what you can do with digital strategies, and in particular, content, AI. Y'all, AI is blowing up, and that's not going to change. There's no sign of that changing, no sign of it slowing down. So for those of you who are resistant, and you're like, it's too much, and these robots, and this AI and chat GPT, and I blah, blah, blah. I'm asking you to get on board. I'm asking you to embrace it. It just, even if it's difficult for you, embrace it a little. Just, if you haven't used ChatGPT, try using it. If you haven't used Gemini, that's Google's kind of version of ChatGPT. ChatGPT, use that. Just look up, 10 best AI tools for business, or 10 best AI tools for productivity, 10 best ways to make money in AI. Look up AI certifications. Look up, better yet, and this may really get your attention, look up the jobs that AI is expected to replace over the next few years, or have already replaced. Like, that's not going to change. So if you are not leveraging these strategies, if you're not leveraging AI, if you're not leveraging automation, if you're not leveraging content, if you're not leveraging, especially if you are a business owner, especially if you are a freelancer, if you are self-employed in any way, because some of you are self-employed and you don't see you don't necessarily see yourselves as business owners. You may not see yourself as a CEO, but you still work for yourself. Okay, maybe you're a photographer, maybe you're a web designer, maybe you are a plumber, maybe whatever it is. If you work for yourself and you are not leveraging these strategies, you are behind, because your competition is. At least some of them are taking advantage of these strategies. And just like I am on YouTube now making a video, this is content. This is what is driving the markets. It's driving technology. Content drives a lot. That's why Netflix is Netflix. This is why Netflix is a multi-billion-dollar company and Blockbuster is no longer. This is why Redbox is no longer. This is why podcasts, like whether it's uh, Joe Rogan or podcasts, have almost turned into mini networks. Country Wayne, these people have created YouTube channels and they've taken advantage of other platforms, but really have built up YouTube, TikTok, like with hundreds of thousands and in some cases even millions of subscribers, followers, and have been able to monetize these channels to where, to the tune of 7+ figures. In some cases, 7 figures a quarter, or perhaps even a month. And I'm not just making these numbers up. This is based on the number of views they get, the number of subscribers. There are ways that you can find this kind of data out, or you can get a pretty good estimate of the revenue that YouTube channels are kicking off, or a TikTok account is generating. It's driven by content. So if you're not taking advantage of it, you're missing out. And that could be your ticket, really, to financial freedom. That could be your ticket to early retirement, or retiring ever. Because let's be honest, there are some people who don't think they're ever going to be able to retire, and they may not. I want the same for y'all as I want for myself and my family. I want to be able to have FU money. I want to be able to do pretty much what I want to do when I want to do it without having to answer to someone else. But that takes money, unless, you come from a wealthy family. You are an heir, you have a trust fund. But if none of that applies, then you know there's some work that needs to be done. There's some intentionality that needs to happen. So that's it for me, you guys. I don't If there are some questions, let me know. If you see the replay, if this resonates with you, you have some questions, you have comments, by all means drop them. But these are kind of crazy times. And again, if you're a federal employee and you haven't made this decision yet, I strongly urge you to seriously consider not taking this buyout. It just doesn't seem to be the best thing. And when this was first announced, you guys, before I kind of dive deeper into this, it didn't sound bad to me either. I was like, oh, okay, that could work. I really looked at it as more of an opportunity. And I still think it can be an opportunity, even if you don't take the buyout. This presents an opportunity. But now I think taking the buyout is not ideal at all, because the question of them actually paying it out, them honoring the payment that they're saying, and then even if this is found to be illegal, I'm just kind of going back over the main points here and the main concerns. It is very likely this is not going to pan out, and it's not going to work out the way people think it's going to work out. This is why, again, you need a backup plan. You need to be prepared to do something else pretty quickly to replace this income, because you really may not have this income past March if you have taken this buyout or you're planning to take this buyout. Might not have it past March. Hell, you may not have it past this month, frankly. Dealing with who we're dealing with, you may not have it past February. I don't know. So, all right, you guys. That is it for me. Again, if there are any questions, drop them in the chat. I don't see any right now. Hopefully, I'm not missing anything. And just as a reminder, if you have not already subscribed to the channel and you find this um, valuable, this resonates, and you can check out the channel. Again, this is really about growing and monetizing brands, leveraging digital strategies, and digital strategies such as AI, especially generative AI, SEO, um, content strategy. Those are the three big ones. There's so much you can do with just those three. There are a number of other digital strategies, but that's the thing. I think there are a lot of people, whether they're coaches, whether they're digital marketers, gurus out here talking about so many different things and confusing people, frankly, talking about email marketing and affiliate marketing and social media marketing and this over here. And there is a place for those topics, but if you really just focus on 1 to 3 digital strategies, you could make it, it can be a gold mine. Like you don't have to do all this different stuff in the digital space to be successful, to be mad successful, like hella successful, like 6 figures monthly successful, like running a 7, 8+ figure business with 2 or less people. Like that's happening. That's a real thing. That was not the case 10 years ago. Not really. Like if you wanted to scale a business, even an online business, and scale it to that point, you need a team. You needed people. You had to spend a lot more money often to make that additional money. That's not the case anymore, y'all. Not with AI. Not when you can train bots to do different tasks and work that before you had to hire people to do. And of course, with people, you got to pay them more. Even if it's part time, you'd have to pay them more than you paying for a bot. So there's a lot of opportunity out here, a lot of opportunity, especially in the digital space. And that's what we tend to focus on. So if that resonates with you, by all means, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment, tell some other people, share it. Don't keep it all to yourself. And let's go win. Let's go win. All right, you guys, that is it for me. Until next time, take care. And take some action.